It's week 1, college football. This is the Extra Points podcast. We are the college football experience. My name's Gus. That's Will. And we have some guests today on the podcast. If you can't tell, we got Logan Hood, the 2022 CFP Pick'ems champion. And then we got our good buddy Will Smith, the only 2-time Pick'ems champions. Everyone, football is here. It's less than 48 hours away. We got 3 games on Thursday, 1 on Friday. If my math is right, 5 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. How are y'all doing tonight? And are y'all ready for some football?
Yeah, man. Of course we're ready. That's why we're here.
All right, Smarty.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. It's been a long off season. So ready for it to get started. I appreciate y'all having me on here tonight.
Yes, sir. We couldn't do it without the 2-time Logan. Are you excited for this season?
Just ready to go back to back.
Oh, back to back. Do you really think you're going back to back?
I have no doubt.
It's hard to do. There's only been 1 2-time champion.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've been there. I know what it takes to get there now, and I just do it again.
I have no idea.
You did have a pretty dominant season last year. I think you for sure had the best record, and I think you had the best record by at least 4 to 5 games, if I remember right.
I got 95 games right.
Golly.
Unprecedented numbers.
Can you
None of
break a
his
bill
last-
this year? Can you get the 100?
His
And
last
you
4
forget-
weeks.
The entire year, I called Tennessee beating Alabama and put them at 10 confidence.
And you put him at 10. You put it all out on the table, trying to
Put your
keep it
money where
PG
your
here,
mouth was.
but you laid it out on the table. 100%, man. But so this episode's all about introducing what the Pick'ems are, and then we are going to break down the 10 games for the Pick'ems. So we've been doing this college football Pick'ems this will be the 9th season, and it's just we choose 10 games every single week, and then you have to rank them 1 to 10 confidence, and you have to pick the winner. So it's out of 55 points, and we've had anywhere from about 10 to 15 people do it every season, and it's a blast. And kind of what the podcast is going to be based off of for the rest of the season, just breaking down the 10 games for the week and then being able to recap the week that we just had. So with all that being said, y'all, let's jump in to some breakdowns. The most exciting game on Thursday night for me, it's the Florida versus Utah game. This line's been all over the place. I'm pretty sure it's fluctuated anywhere from about 9 to about 4.5, and it's kind of jumped back up to 6.5 now, man. Florida got the better of Utah this last season in 2022. Now they make the return trip up to Salt Lake City to open up the 2023 season. Just fire it at me. What are y'all's thoughts on this game for Thursday night?
Which one of y'all want to go first?
You got it, Logan.
I don't care who's playing quarterback for Utah. I don't.
Oh,
I don't care. I think
even if
Utah's
it's a
gonna
third
win.
string?
Don't care. I think Utah's going to win regardless. I think it's going to be a pretty fast game. I think both teams are going to try to run the ball.
Mhm.
And with the new clock rules, you'll see it go by pretty fast. Was it kickoff at 8? I wouldn't be surprised if it was over at 10:30. But yeah, I think Utah just probably has a little bit more to them this year than what Florida has, and I think they'll get it done. I'm not super confident in it. It's not going to be too high on my confidence, but I think Utah gets it done regardless of who plays quarterback.
Do you think they cover?
No.
Smart man. Wills?
I'm following Logan here. I think Utah looks to avenge their loss from last year.
Okay.
If any of y'all remember how that game ended, it was
Crazy.
kind of close one there at the end. Had a crazy play. Yeah, I like Utah at home and getting their revenge game. I'm a Logan. I don't care who plays quarterback. I think they got what it takes. Sorry, Bates.
Will.
No, you're good.
Your Florida Gators.
You're good. You got.
You
your
have to
opinion.
pick them.
Well, I will say this, what's in Utah's favor is they have the longest home winning streak in the country right now.
They're 19-0 in their last 19 games at home.
Yeah, they're 25-1 in their last 26. So I will say we have a sample of what the quarterback kind of looks like. If it's not Cam Rising, I mean, we saw him in the Rose Bowl and he didn't look great. So that kind of makes me feel a little better about Florida's chances. But man, there are a lot of unknowns. So I don't blame y'all for taking Utah. I think just some of the biggest question marks for Utah is probably their wide receivers. So they just don't have much star power out there. Right. It's a lot of unknowns for them, which I know Florida has a lot of unknowns themselves, but we are probably the better team that they've played at home in a while, at least to start the year. So I think Florida can pull it out, but it's all going to be based off of Graham Mertz. I mean, can he make plays? Can he manage the game? Can he make the throws that are necessary to help Florida get over that hump and ultimately win Thursday night?
Man, this will probably be at my 1 or probably my 2, but I'm picking Florida. I'm just going to lay it all out on the table because I know a bunch of people are probably going to pick the Ute. So I'm picking Florida. I'm going to hitch my wagon to Graham Mertz, kind of put faith in him where he hasn't shown us much at Wisconsin. But even though Wisconsin coaches came out and were like, yeah, we screwed up with the way that we used him, and he was a failed project, not because of him, but because of us. So I think Florida takes advantage of a 70% healthy Cam Rising, and I think they go up to Salt Lake. I think they get the dub. But
I think the home win streak might play better for Florida than it does Utah.
Yeah, because
They're
all of
gonna
the
do for a loss.
pressure is because all the pressure could be on Utah to say like, hey, we're the back-to-back Pac-12 champs, and like all the pressure's on them to be able to rep the conference.
This is what I want to see. If Cam Rising trots out there and he takes that first snap, I want to see an all-out blitz, and I want to hit him. I mean, I want to make him get back up and play another snap
and say, "Oh crap, what if I
take
got
off
myself
running?"
into?"
I want to see what he's got. If they're going to trot him out there, I want to see what he can do.
I'm pretty sure he hasn't been touched since he got hurt.
No,
dude, he hasn't even participated in 11-on-11 drills. Allegedly.
I don't think he's going to play.
I don't think he is either. And I mean, the guy that they're thinking about playing, he is extremely fast anyway. So I think what I tell you guys, he runs 100 meters in like 10 something seconds. He's one of the fastest guys in the Pac-12. So if he gets on the edge, he'll probably score.
I mean, but then the only thing Florida has to do is they just have to sell out to the run and say like, hey, like you have to beat us with your arm.
Well, yeah, that's what Utah wants to do anyway. They want to run the ball. So,
right.
What number is Graham Mertz wearing this year?
15.
Is it 15? Ooh.
Utah just went up a couple notches on my
oh no.
Jersey number doesn't matter.
I mean, having to wear 15 at the University of Florida, man, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Who wore that before? Was there a quarterback that wore 15 at Florida before?
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, was it 4th overall pick last year?
And I think it was someone.
Yeah,
I think it was someone named Timothy.
Yeah, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Got a statue or something.
That's big shoes to fill there for Mr. Mertz.
Yeah, a lot of shoes to fill. Big shoes.
So we got 2 Utahs and 2 Floridas. I can see who is being faithful to the SEC here and who isn't. Man, this game is a highlight game in the noon slot on Saturday. Colorado and Deion Sanders going down to Fort Worth, Texas, playing the runners-up from last season. I really hate to call them the runners-up because they just got spanked so bad. Colorado playing TCU minus 20.5 to TCU. Can Colorado even compete in this game? Because I don't think so.
I think they just got so many unknowns. We just have no idea about them at all. TCU's replacing a lot too from last year from that national championship run. So I was shocked to see this be up in the what was it? What'd you say? The 20s? Yeah, the 20s.
20.5.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a big number.
Yeah, I mean, I got TCU winning this ball game. I don't know if it's a major blowout, but I got TCU winning just because I have no idea about Colorado.
Yeah, I don't think TCU is going to be very good at all this year, but I also think Colorado is going to be hot garbage. So I have TCU and pretty high. Yes. I think Dion might be good in a few years, but this ain't the year. He walked into a very bad roster and
an absolute dumpster fire.
And he completely flipped that roster too, didn't he? How many guys are left from last year?
I think it's less than 15.
Yeah, it's like not a lot at all. So, I mean, it's a group of guys that's never played together. That's one of the reasons I think I'm going to take TCU. I think they handled the game. 20.5 is a lot of points. It wouldn't surprise me if Colorado covers, but I feel good. I feel good about TCU.
I mean, there's just so much talent on the Colorado roster. I mean, they do have Travis Hunter. They do have Monty McClain. Travis Hunter is going to be playing offense, and he is going to be playing defense too. But I mean, there's just so much that goes into building a football team that's different than building a football roster. And I think Colorado's built a football roster. They haven't necessarily had time to build a team yet, and they haven't had time to build a program. So I think TCU, I mean, they do get Chandler Morris back, who was supposed to be their starter last year. He was starting over I'm trying to think, where did Max Duggan finish in the Heisman race? Was he third?
He was invited to New York. That's all I can remember. Yeah, third sounds good, man.
Yeah. So I mean, he was a starter over someone that went to New York City. So he obviously has a talent, but can he stay healthy? Because he has had trouble doing that. But I'm going TCU pretty high here, just because I think they're the better program at this point in time. I think they have more talent. I think they have probably the better coach at this point in time. So I'm going TCU pretty high too. This is the game College Game Day is going to be at, and I'm really excited. This is probably the third game that I'm the most excited to watch. UNC minus 2.5 versus South Carolina. This is in Charlotte. This is gross. I wish it was in William Bryce. I wish it was up at Chapel Hill. Man, who's gonna win the battle of the Carolinas? Hit me with it.
First of all, ban neutral site games.
Ban them. Thank you, Logan.
See ya.
Don't get them out of here.
We hate them. I think South Carolina wins.
Yes.
I like South Carolina pretty good. I don't think North Carolina's defense is going to be very good. I think they were hoping they were going to be better than last year, but I don't think that's actually going to happen. Apparently South Carolina's secondary has been really good in fall camp, and that ought to be interesting to watch Drake May against them. I don't think he can beat South Carolina on his own, so go Gamecocks. But this is the game I'm most excited to watch this weekend. It's my number one. I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
I think this will be kind of the offenses against each other. I just think North Carolina's offense is eventually going to lose some steam in the game, and South Carolina will take control mostly because they probably got the better defense out of the two. North Carolina's defense just isn't very good. I love Drake May. He is one of my quarterbacks in our draft this year. He was my first pick, but I just see probably the Gamecocks taking control of this one and pulling out and getting them a dub.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with y'all. I'm going with USC Junior as well. I'd like to see what they can do coming off their hot end of their 2022 campaign. They really started to pick it up towards the end of the season, and that'll be interesting to see if they can carry that over into this year.
Man, one of my hot takes at the end of the 2022 season was that this South Carolina team was the worst 8-4 team that I had ever seen in my whole entire life. They were so bad up until week 12, and then they switched play callers, and it was like they were running out there with their hair on fire. And so I think with them staying with that switch on the offensive side of the ball, and the only thing their defense has to do is get 4 stops, maybe 4 to 5 stops, and then that's going to win them the ball game, because I don't see North Carolina's defense stopping anything, because kind of like you were talking about, Logan, all of these reports that are coming out of Chapel Hill this fall are saying like, hey, this, like, they haven't made the jump like we thought they were gonna make the jump. And even though Gene Chizik did win a national championship for Auburn, I don't think he's gonna get. I honestly don't know why they brought him back. Like, I have no clue why they brought Gene back, and I don't know why they went and got Chip Lindsey as their offensive coordinator. Like, what a downgrade from Phil Longo to Chip Lindsey, who's really hasn't been successful anywhere that he's gone. And I mean, he's always just been an outcast, having to bounce around from team to team. But I think South Carolina's going to cover. I think South Carolina's going to win, and I think they could win pretty handily. Logan, I want to hear from you first on this game, because whenever we were in the pre-pod lobby, you were like, I have some spicy takes on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. We have the Nebraska Cornhuskers versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Then you have Minnesota is favored -7. How will Nebraska fare in their first game under head coach Matt Rule? Logan, hit me with it first, because I can't wait to hear.
Nebraska's going to win. Matt Rule, great college coach. He's a program builder. He's done it at Temple. He did it at Baylor. He walked into an absolute nightmare and turned that around. So I'm a big believer in Matt Rule in college. Not so much the NFL, obviously, but I think he's going to get it rolling at Nebraska. And Minnesota, I'm tired of PJ Fleck. Was like 3 or 4 years ago, I was all bought into PJ Fleck. I wanted him to come to Auburn. I was like, row that boat on down to Auburn, Alabama, please. But now they just it's the same thing every year. They're not any good. They're just not good. I like him. Like, I like the stuff he says, but then they get out there and it's just a dud. I'm just tired. I'm tired of hearing about them. I don't think that they're going to be very good. They do have a tough schedule, so they're kind of not in good shape there. But I think they start 0-1. I think Matt Rule gets his Nebraska reign rolling good, and the Nebraska hype is going to be a little annoying after this. But well.
That's some strong thoughts on Nebraska, considering where they've been. The past decade, it feels like.
Yeah,
I mean, last year was horrendous. They couldn't even wait for the buyout for their Scott Frost to drop $7 million. It was bad enough out there in Lincoln. I'm kind of torn on this game. I originally was thinking maybe Minnesota. I will say, Logan, that you had some strong thoughts that made me think maybe otherwise. I'm kind of up in the air on this one right now. I like to guns, Nebraska. Man. I rooted for him last year. I wanted Scott Frost to do good. He just couldn't seem to figure it out. But I agree. I think Matt Rule's a good college coach, so he might be able to turn it around for him.
Nebraska brought in a lot of talent too.
They did.
Tons.
A bunch of guys who haven't played together yet, but I know that's part of the transfer portal era nowadays. So I'm kind of torn. We'll see.
I don't care what Logan says about Minnesota. They're going to row that boat Thursday night for a W.
Row it, baby. Row that boat.
The same reasons why Colorado's not going to be good is the same reason why Nebraska's just not going to be able to get it going right off the start of the season. Just because a lot of new additions to the team. You know, Matt Rule's just trying to get this program going. Will he get it going? I think so. I think he's the right guy. It will happen eventually, just not Thursday night. So I got the Minnesota Golden Gophers with the W. Low confidence though. Low. I could see why you went Nebraska, but Minnesota I think is going to get it done.
This
Am I
was
wrong about PJ Fleck? Am I crazy for saying that?
no.
Nah, he is annoying AF.
I
but
think he is a phenomenal hype man. I mean, I think he can get you excited. I think he can get people to buy in, but he hasn't necessarily put all that energy and all that hype into results on the field. But they had a sneaky good defense last season, and the offense, they really didn't have any weapons outside. They were super one-dimensional with Ibrahim, and they have a quarterback, Ethan Kaliakmanis, the Greek rifle is the name that they're calling him. And if you have a nickname like the Greek rifle,
oh, you better be
baby,
good.
I am buying in. And they really did hit the portal hard when it came to the receiver position. So I think we're going to kind of see a switch in identity to more of a pass heavy team than a run heavy team just because of the personnel. And I mean, they are the Golden Gophers. Golden is my last name. I would be cursed if I picked against a team that had my last name. So I'm kind of with Will. This is going to be kind of like a mid to low confidence game. I'm going Golden Gophers, and I probably wouldn't pick them to cover, but I could definitely see them winning. This game right here is a game we're not going to spend that much time on because it's not really a giant game in terms of consequences, but it is an interesting game to me. NC State is minus 14.5 going up to UConn. I'm excited to see this new look offense for NC State. What are y'all's thoughts on this game?
NC State's way too good at defense for UConn. They've always been pretty good at defense. This is a high confidence for me. I think NC State just going to pull away from them. UConn is better. They had a pretty good little year last year. They've been better than they have been. Head coach's name used to be the Falcons head coach, UCLA's head coach.
Jim. His name is Jim. His name is Jim Mora.
Yeah, that's
Jim
his
Mora.
name. But I got NC State defense just a little too good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, NC State's just going to out physical them. Yeah. NC State's a pretty physical football team. Like you said, they play good defense every year. They're just going to outman them. I agree.
I didn't spend too much time on this one. I went just NC State off the bat, just looking at those two names. I didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all it took for me.
This is a helmet game. NC State.
Yeah. I mean, there's for sure a reason this spread is at 14.5. I mean, I almost took Brennan Armstrong as my wild card quarterback in the quarterback draft because he's getting back with Robert and his offensive coordinator that he had in 2021 whenever he was at Virginia, and he kind of had that super breakout year. So they are reuniting. So it isn't that I don't think that UConn is a terrible team. I just think that NC State's got a lot more talent. And I'm just really looking at this game saying, like, can this NC State offense actually be what people think it is? So I think all of us are going to put NC State pretty high. This is going to be a game where no one chooses UConn, but you got to have those games on the slate just because there's hardly ever 10 games that you're like, oh man, like we have to put these 10 games on here. So I just try to put the interesting matchups sometimes in teams that we're not necessarily going to always see on the pick'ems on there. Man, the standalone game on Monday night, I think this is a sleeper game just because Duke is a sleeper team. Clemson goes to Duke on Labor Day night. They are minus 12.5. Can this new look Clemson offense go on the road and take care of business against the Duke Blue Devils, who I think are going to be one of the grittiest teams in the ACC this season?
I like Clemson.
Yeah.
I'm a lot higher on Clemson than most people are this year. I like Garrett Riley, the new offensive coordinator. I like Cade Klubnik. I like Shipley. I think they have one of the best linebacker rooms in the country, if not the best. And I think they're getting a little too disrespected.
Hated on.
Yeah, borderline hated on.
Yeah.
I think this could be a hey, don't forget who we are year for Clemson.
Yeah.
So I am a little bit worried about Duke. I like Elko. I think he's a great coach, but
Mhm.
I'm too high on Clemson to say that they could lose.
I'm with you. I'm on Clemson too. They're a higher confidence pick for me. They've just been so good for so long. They're a much better program than Duke. I think they probably have better guys all around. And I'm excited to see Cade Klubnik what he does this year. I think he'll have a pretty good year.
Yeah, I like Clemson too. Their offensive coordinator they have this year, he's had a top 10 offense everywhere he's been. The only thing that scares me, this is at Duke on a Monday night. That those type of games are the ones, we all pick Clemson and then Duke somehow end up winning it. But I like Clemson too. I agree with what Logan's saying. I think people are kind of trying to give this conference to Florida State a little too quickly right now, and they're probably feeling a little disrespected. So I think Clemson's probably going to take care of business and get ready for their show with Florida State in a few weeks.
So this game has the potential to highlight something that happens in the pick'ems often. It isn't who you pick, but it's where you put the pick at in the rankings. Because this could be a game where everyone picks Clemson and somehow they get upset. And you could have a bunch of people that put them at 8, 9, 7, and then you could have some people that put them at 5, 4. You could maybe have someone crazy put them down there at 3, and then that really gives those people a super boost going into the end of the week. So I am picking Clemson too, just because of the nature of the two teams. Clemson they're a lot more talented than Duke, but I'm really wanting to see, can this Clemson front seven assert their dominance, and can this Clemson offensive line kind of bounce back? They've had a rough past 2 years with kind of with injuries, so I really want to see them be able to bounce back. And then I want to see the Clemson wide receiver room. I want to see guys step up in this new Garrett Riley offense and kind of see them shine, because if they're able to shine against Duke, then I think that's kind of a good early season test, is that it's not too hard, but it's not too soft of a game either. So I think it's going to be a pretty good test for Clemson, but I again have them winning. I don't know if Clemson's going to cover, just because I mean that's a lot to ask for a brand new offense to come in on the road and cover against a team like Duke. So I'll probably go Clemson, but I don't think they're going to cover.
Can Duke's fan base show up? Because this reminds me of that Virginia Tech North Carolina game we had last year. I think it was.
No, that was
2 years
2 seasons ago.
2 years ago. North Carolina got beat on a Thursday night or Friday night or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Can Duke's fan base bring it like that and make Clemson's offense, have to communicate a little better and give them a little, challenge them a little bit?
That's a really good comparison to what this game has the potential to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for sure one to keep an eye on.
But if that stadium's orange,
that's going to be rough.
Clemson's going to run away with it.
That's going to be rough. This is the highlight game for Saturday night. It's going to be on NBC of all places. That'll be weird to be watching the Big Ten on NBC. West Virginia at Penn State. Penn State's favored by 20.5. Does West Virginia even stand a chance in this game? I mean, because a bunch of people have Penn State going to the playoffs. There were people that I was listening to today that have Penn State winning the national championship.
I think we listened to the same thing.
I think we did.
No, I think Penn State's going to crush them. Penn State has some dudes.
Some
I
dogs.
love Nick
Dogs.
Singleton. Love him.
Dog.
And West Virginia is just not very good. I think, bless Neil Brown's heart.
Dude.
I don't think he's going to make it much longer there. But
I give him 5 weeks.
Penn State by a billion.
Mid-season 5, huh?
Dude, I think that Neil Brown will be fired by the middle of October.
Yeah.
Because
I
they
think
had
Penn
no
State
reason
can.
to bring. Oh yeah, yeah. Penn State is a really good team. Kind of like you were saying, they have some dog. Dude, they have a first-round pick on the offensive line. They have the highest recruit ever, Drew Aller, that has to step up and he has to perform, but he has all the hype around him. They have what I think is the best backfield in the Big Ten, and then they got a stout defense. So I think they cover this 20.5, and this is my 10.
Yeah. This is my 10. This is my 10 as well. I think Penn State upgraded at quarterback finally. That last quarterback, I feel like he was there forever. They have the best, Sean Clifford. And then I think they got one of the best secondaries in the country. I do not think West Virginia has a shot. I think this is a blowout. This will be kind of a good game for Drew Aller to kind of get out there, sling it around a little bit. Let that run game help him out some. But I feel really good about this one. I think Penn State's going to win pretty big.
I agree. I'm completely bought in on the Penn State hype. I'm excited to see what they do this year. I hope they can knock off Michigan and Ohio State for that Big Ten East title. But yeah,
dude,
slap a 10 on this
That would
game.
be
I'm
awesome,
going Penn
man.
State.
Dude, how big for college football would that be? And that would be a giant middle finger to the 12-team playoff. Say it like, hey, it's like we don't need this expanded playoff to get parity. Just let nature run its course. Teams are going to fluctuate. So I would absolutely love for Penn State to go 12-0, or even go 11-1. And then somehow win the Big Ten East. I would
What
absolutely
if
love
Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State all go 11-1?
That's what me and Gus have talked about. It's very
it.
possible.
So I think in that case, there's a really weird tiebreaker scenario where in the Big Ten it goes to, I think it's either your opponent's combined records, and I think that tie with all the projections, I think all the projections are saying in the tiebreaker Ohio State would win. So
Boo.
yeah, so it's a really weird kind of tiebreaker scenario, but I definitely think that all could happen. I definitely think it could.
That would
God,
be
you
fun.
imagine
A
one of
three-way
them
tie
getting.
in one division. That would be incredible.
They
You
should
imagine
remember in high school they used to talk about whenever you had like a three-way tie for fourth place to make the playoffs, getting like the three teams together and playing like little mini games. They should make them play mini games all in the same day.
Dude, that would be great TV.
LaGrange did that one year. I think they played it was a one half. They played somebody. It was probably 5-6 years ago, I think. But
that would be such good TV, because just think, you would have all of the fan bases all in the one stadium. You would have all of the teams. Oh man,
that should just be the Big Ten championship game. I mean,
right.
just let all three of them show up.
That'd
be awesome.
hell. That'd be
Come out.
hell.
Who's going to come out of who will one of those teams play in the Big Ten championship game?
I got Iowa.
They're playing Wisconsin.
I think
It's gonna be
Wisconsin or
Iowa.
Illinois.
Yeah,
It's
it'll be Minnesota.
Ooh,
Don't
sleep on Illinois, Logan. I love it. I absolutely love it, man. But I think the Big Ten is super intriguing, just because I think the East is the best division, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it. They're the best division in college football this season, just because they're so top heavy. I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Not a SEC guy.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go ahead
Brother.
and say it.
You just go ahead and move up to Ohio, you Yankee.
Dude, screw Ohio State. Screw the state of Ohio for screwing up, and screw SeatGeek.
Yeah.
Man, we're
Those guys
finally
suck.
we're finally making our way out west. This is a pretty straightforward game. We have Boise State versus Washington. A lot of hype around Washington coming into this season. Washington is favored by 14.5. Can they take care of business at home? Can they flash? And can they kind of keep this hype train rolling that's really gotten started since they really got hot at the end of last season?
Yeah, I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to lead them this year. That was your first pick in the quarterback draft. I think he is all what he is advertised to be. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think they're going to be just fine in this game. This isn't like the old Boise State teams that literally you had to watch out if you played them because they could beat you. So I'm not really worried about Boise State. I think Washington's going to take care of business, and this is probably at my 9. I'll probably put them at my 9 confidence.
Yeah, I like Washington pretty handedly. I have some strong feelings towards Boise State for obvious reasons we don't have to talk about. But yeah, I think
Makes you a
Washington's
great
going to be
coach.
really good. I think the Pac-12 is going to be very good as a whole, and I think Washington's going to be towards the top of it. And I'm a believer in Washington this year. I think one of their running backs just got hurt. It might be out for the year, but
Yes, he is. But I mean, they're loaded at receiver. They have the 2,000 guys coming back, Roma Dunze and Jalen McMillan, I think, and then they also got a guy coming back that had almost 700 yards last year too. So I mean, they almost have 3,000-yard guys coming back. I think they're loaded. Will Smith.
When's the last time we discussed the Pac-12 being good as a whole? I feel like that was an odd question. You don't hear that too often, at least not as of late.
It's never happened.
But I'm going to go. I think Washington's going to get it done. I don't see Boise putting up much against them, but you never know. Boise has been sneaky in the past.
Yeah. This is the best the Pac-12 has been in a while. I mean, they have 6 teams that have win totals all over 8.5. I mean, they're absolutely stacked, and it just stings that a bunch of those games are going to be played super late at night because kind of once you get to the end of the season, all of those teams start to do a little round robin deal, and it's going to be phenomenal football to watch. Do any of y'all think the Pac-12 has a team that comes out and makes the playoff this year, or do y'all think they just kind of cannibalize themselves?
I think Oregon or Washington will make it through. I think one of them will end up going 11-1 and then winning the conference championship and making it. I picked Oregon's in my playoff.
Let's go, baby. Yes, sir.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Washington was. If it's not Oregon, I could see Washington doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Oregon has the best shot out of the teams. I think they're proven. They got a very experienced quarterback.
Bo Nix.
He's very experienced
in the NCAA.
He's got 10 years under his belt.
He does. He's got a lot.
Hey, all jokes aside, those two guys, Bo Nix and Michael Penix, should give the Florida nation hope that Graham Mertz could be really good there.
Yeah, and I mean,
those two guys were kind of cast to the side and not thought of very well where their previous stops, and then they went somewhere else and flipped the switch for them.
That's a good comparison. We'll see.
Kind of the same thing when you look at DJU too, dude. I mean, like he really wasn't in the best situation whenever he was at Clemson. He was able to grow, say like, oh, this is the type of offense, this is the kind of style of football that fits me the best. And then he was able to transfer. He was able to go out to Oregon State where they're more of a run-heavy play action team. And that's why he picked that team, was because he was like, this fits me the best. So I think that you are right, Logan. We could see Graham Mertz kind of pop just because he's in a new environment and he's in a new system that could kind of cater more to him. So coming back down south, Louisville, an extremely hyped team just because of their soft schedule. I think their win total is like 8 or 8.5, but they're playing Georgia Tech at not at not at Bobby Dodd Stadium, but at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They're playing
Another neutral site.
they're playing in Atlanta, but at a neutral site game. Disgusting.
That's a shame.
Did absolute shame.
Well,
But
let's be honest. I mean, is anybody going to show up to the Georgia Tech game?
yeah, dude. There's some hype around Georgia Tech, man.
I think you'll see a lot of
really like
of red in the crowd from the seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but Louisville is favored by 7.5 in this game. They're a bunch of people's sleeper team in the ACC. So, do y'all think they can live up to the hype, or can Georgia Tech kind of keep the momentum going that they ended the 2022 season with, and kind of play an early season spoiler to this Louisville hype train?
I give them no shot on Team Louisville. I didn't put much thought into it. Georgia Tech has been
booty
bottom of the barrel for too long. I don't see them getting it done. At least not first game of the year.
Yeah.
With all due respect to Haynes King and his family, when he was announced as the starter at Georgia Tech, that just like see ya. Louisville by 105.
Oh, 105.
No, I have Louisville pretty high, and I think they cover and win pretty handily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Louisville as well. I think this will be a pretty easy win for them. I just don't see Georgia Tech that good because the guys that were helping them be successful in the year left. So I got Louisville winning big.
Just gonna kind of play the devil advocates here. We've kind of been hating on teams that have taken a bunch of transfers. We've been kind of saying like, hey, you need to look out for the transfer quarterbacks that are coming into the new system, kind of get some new life. All of those are at play here. So just going to be the devil's advocate and say, watch out for Georgia Tech. But I think I got Louisville above 5, but I'm for sure going to pick the Cardinal too. And last but not least, Sunday night, probably the best second best out of conference matchup of the season. Florida State Seminoles team. There's not a team that ended the season hotter besides Georgia last season versus LSU team with a lot of hype. You have a bunch of people picking them to win the West. They are favored by 2.5. They're playing in Orlando, another neutral site game. Vomit. You wish this was at Doak. But man, which team's going to come out on top? Because I think this is like number 5 versus number 8. So who's coming out on top in this matchup?
Until Florida State can prove they can beat ranked teams, I'm going LSU. And it's not just because I'm a Florida fan. FSU just hasn't played well in the big games. And, LSU last year kind of ran into what we've kind of been discussing about these teams, new quarterback, kind of new team around him. It took them a while to get going. And it seemed like last year after that Florida game, man, LSU just took off and they played really well. They did lose a late game to Texas A&M. That kind of hurt them, but they did beat they skull drug Purdue in the bowl game. So I feel pretty good about Jaden Daniels coming back. He's probably one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC coming back. So I think LSU is going to take care of business here. But it will be a fun game. I think FSU's offense is going to be really fun to watch. But I got LSU and Brian Kelly winning this one. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
I like LSU as well. I am concerned about Florida State's receivers against LSU's secondary because I think LSU's secondary is probably the weakest part of their team. But on the flip side, I think LSU returns all 5 offensive linemen from last year. So I think that's going to help them big time on Sunday. And I think LSU wins a close one. I don't like Florida State. I think they kind of have to prove it, like you were just saying. I'd beat somebody good, and then I'll buy into your hype. And I think they're drinking their Kool-Aid a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Like everything you hear, like out of Florida State and like their fall camp is like, oh, we're great, we're all healthy, like we're super talented, we're loaded at every position. Like I think they might be setting themselves up to get knocked down.
You can't even tell their coach good morning. So I don't.
That's true.
Oh man.
I'm with you guys. I think it's I'm gonna LSU. I have this low. I actually have them on 1. I do think Florida State has the ability to win this game, no doubt. I think they have the guys there. Like I said, it's just a matter if they can show up in the big games. I'm really excited. This is a Sunday night game. That way, it gets my full attention. I'm not worried about checking scores from some other games going on. I do hate this is not a home and home. One of these fan bases these will be fun stadiums to play in with these two teams. Yeah, I'm going to stick with LSU, even though I'm not a big Brian Kelly guy. He did really well last year, and it shocked me. So let's see if we can keep it up.
If anybody has this one higher than 1, they're a crazy person.
They are a psychopath.
Will. Will.
Got him at 5, baby.
Wow. Okay.
5. I think I have it at 2. I think I have it at 2, but
look,
I do know at the beginning of the show I was hating on y'all for picking Utah and not picking the SEC. I'm gonna have to eat crow a little bit here. I'm picking Florida State. I mean, they have the better quarterback. They have the better running back. I would say LSU they do have the better offensive line, but Florida State's got some dogs on the defensive line. And Florida State's addressed some corner issues. They were able to get the number 1 corner out of the portal. They were able to address some issues at the wide receiver position. And I just think that they've progressively been getting better and better every single season under Mike Norvell. So I think if they are going to pop, they're going to pop this season. And there is not a better game to pop to start the season than this game. So I am picking Florida State, but it's at my 2.
They're starting 2-2 in the month of September.
Yep.
That's tough.
Who's their other big game? Is it Clemson?
Yep.
Yeah, at the end of September.
Weekend or 4th weekend?
4.
It's the 4th. It's the same weekend as like Georgia, Auburn, Florida, Kentucky.
No, it's a week before. It's a week before Georgia, Auburn. Right?
No, I thought it was the last game of September.
I thought you could be right, but I thought Auburn, Georgia was week 5.
They are, but it's September. It squeaks into September, but it is the 5th week.
Yeah, man. But I am gonna pick Florida State. But like I said, it's at my 2. If we see Florida State lose this game, could we see them go off of the rails? And because there is so much hype around them, and they've obviously kind of been able to buy into the hype themselves. So what if they come out, get smacked by LSU? Could we see this team go off the rails and finish 8-4?
It's possible. A lot of teams that have those big losses early in the season, it's either make it or break it for them. They turn it around from there and they rip off 10, 11 wins in a row. Yeah. Or like you said, they can crumble. It's you never know with 18 to 22-year-old guys how they're going to respond to something like that.
Yeah, I think the loser of this one, I don't know if they can bounce back from it.
With it being the first game, I think you can. But man,
you can. I guess I should say I don't think they will.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get smacked in the face, blown out, you go ahead, Will.
Think about what Oregon did last year. Georgia just completely and utterly embarrassed them.
Yeah.
And they turned around. They had a solid season. Well, they finished. What was their final regular season?
9-3.
And one of their losses was a close game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but
they
turned their season around after looking just like they didn't belong on the football field.
There were a bunch of teams that really didn't look like they belonged on the same field as Georgia last year. Tons.
Unfortunately.
That's
More like specific to these two, not necessarily like in general, can they bounce back? But I don't think like if LSU loses, I think they could take another loss to Alabama. Obviously, one or two more just because the SEC is tough.
Could
I think
lose to
Florida
Auburn.
State. Yeah, I think Florida State could lose to Clemson and start 2-2, like we just said, and then maybe Florida gets them.
They could lose to Miami.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
At least it's an out of conference game, so it doesn't affect their conference goals, which helps. And that's the way the coaches will probably spin it. We saw everything in front of us. Can we bounce back from this?
It's definitely more likely for LSU not to bounce back because the schedule's so tough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, when Florida State's playing in the ACC, man, and after that Clemson game, it's just kind of a little breeze until you get to Miami, and then another breeze till you get to Florida. So,
Okay. This is kind of a bold prediction. Could we be looking at the first 2-loss team to make the 4-team playoff coming out of this game? No. I think if it's going to happen in the last year, it would be either one of these two teams. Because think, what if LSU takes a really early close loss to Florida State? Florida State runs the table like they're like the number 2 seed. And then you have, say, LSU goes on the road, takes like a heartbreaking loss to Ole Miss, but then beats Alabama, beats a good Texas A&M team, still goes to the SEC championship game, somehow pulls off Georgia, and they're an 11-2 SEC champion.
I think it's fair to say that they would get in that scenario. It's just a matter of if they can do all that.
If that happens. But I for sure think that we could be looking at a 2-loss team coming out of this game. I think it would have to be LSU. I don't think Florida State could have two losses win the ACC just because of the nature of the conference and then get in to a 4-team playoff.
I think there's too many other good teams that'll finish undefeated or with one loss as well.
Man, those are the 10 pick'em games, man. It absolutely flies by when you're on the pod. But just before we go, I want to get one of y'all's bold predictions from Logan and a bold prediction from Will Smith before y'all go. What is y'all's boldest prediction for the 2023 college football season?
Oh, man, you should have prepared us for this. I didn't.
Dude, off of the dome, just bold, absolutely wacky, but something you could see happen, but bold.
Texas winning the national championship.
just go ahead and say your. No, I think you should have went with your Auburn prediction, Logan.
Oh yeah.
Which one?
You're 9-3.
You're going to beat Alabama.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it.
There.
Okay, yeah, Auburn's going to beat Alabama. I don't feel like it's that bold, but yeah, Auburn's beating Alabama.
Okay, I'm piggybacking off Logan. I think my bold prediction is going to be Alabama takes 3 losses in the regular season.
Oh my gosh!
At this time for
3.
3. I'm going to call it 3.
Calling it.
That's if Logan's Auburn team can pull it off.
Yeah.
They're going to have an early season loss in Texas.
Ooh.
I think LSU gets them again, and if it's either Tennessee or Auburn, someone's going to put it on them. The unproven quarterback play is going to get them.
Ooh.
Man, that'll be fun to
I've
see.
been waiting on it. I've been waiting on it for 15 years. It's got to come at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's not this year, I don't know when it's going to happen.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because they keep recruiting. I think this is just one of those in between awkward years. But it's hard to bet against Nick Saban. It really is.
Nick Saban bought a beach house recently. It's coming, man. He's about to retire. I mean,
and a 3-loss.
Like, I don't know where it's.
1 foot out the door.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh my god.
Man, you ain't buying a beach house like that if you ain't getting ready to spend time there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he could just be kind of setting the stone, setting the foundation for when he does quit. But I think he's going to be like a Joe Pa situation where he is coaching and then he quits. And then when he finally hangs it up, he doesn't have a purpose in life anymore. And he
Dang.
croaks.
No, Miss Terry's gonna keep him around. She'll
Yeah,
keep
He
him
likes
around.
playing golf too much
he's
for
gonna be
that.
playing
He's a good golf
golf,
player.
dude. He's too active not to.
Dude, but I mean, he loves coaching. That's his life. Like he loves it.
I hope that's not true for his sake.
No, no,
good
but-
lord.
He's too
Okay.
stubborn. He's gonna stick around for a long time.
True.
I
True,
just
man,
hope he
but-
don't stick around too long. Like, don't diminish
Yeah.
what you've done.
Yeah, dude. There are some people that think that he should have retired at the end of the 2020 season. So it's like, hey, I just won with probably the best team ever that I've had here. Let me call it quits while I'm ahead.
Go
And
out on top.
Time
yeah,
out. Do you really think saying Auburn beating Alabama is more bold than saying Texas is going to win the national championship?
dude, I
Yeah.
don't know, dude. Those are I would say Texas winning is probably more bold just because there's so much that has to go into it. And then the Auburn Alabama game is just one game. Whenever Texas win in the national championship, that's them having to win 14 games essentially.
Texas
because
is
they can take 'em
closer.
all.
Texas is closer to win a national championship than Auburn is to Alabama.
I don't know, dude.
Roster wise, quarterback, like just team wise. I mean, look at them. Auburn's
Auburn
been
has a better
terrible
quarterback
for
than
years.
Alabama.
Ooh, that
We just went to
That's a
4
bold
overtimes 2 years ago with a terrible team.
dude.
Mm.
Plus, it is something about when Alabama comes into Jordan Hare, man. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. You have had good Alabama teams come in and get smacked by above average Auburn teams.
And we know Bill O'Brien sucks. That was his fault.
Dude.
He's terrible. Glad he's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Getting back on
Man.
top right here.
Yep. Man, but I've had a blast breaking down week 1, man. We're so close. But I've had a blast breaking it down with y'all. And hopefully, whenever y'all win some weeks, well, I hope y'all don't win any weeks. I hope that I'm winning every week. But we are going to bring the winner on of every week to get them to break down the next week's game. So we'll probably have y'all on again. And if we do, I will be glad to have y'all on. Do we have any last words before we call it a night, fellas?
I'm just glad it's
Thank you for
finally
having us.
here. The moment we've been waiting on for quite some time. It's gonna
Close.
be a fun weekend. We got 5 days loaded of college football, so
Yes,
it'll be fun.
sir.
I appreciate y'all having us on.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
fun.
Any last words, Logan and Will Bates?
Thanks for having us. I look forward to taking a victory lap at the end of the year.
Oh, dude, I swear to God, if you go back to back,
I just
will lose my
wanna-
mind.
I just want to be in contention in the last 3 weeks. Just let me be there.
Hey,
Because if you
You
got
haven't the
contention,
past
you get a
couple
chance to
years.
win.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
well, last year I was close. So let's not act crazy now. Logan
All
just
right, fellas.
dominated last
Dude.
4 weeks.
It was ridiculous. Well, I had a blast, and you can look forward to catching us again when we break down what happened all of week 1 at the beginning of next week, fellas. I enjoyed it, and good night.